Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today, the Leica M film camera quick load system. Implemented on very late versions of the Leica M3 and then fully implemented starting with the Leica M4, which I have right here, and then with all the other classic M film bodies since. So the Leica M4-2, the M4-P, the M6, the M7, the MA, the MP. I know I'm forgetting some of them, but all the classic Leica M bodies like this ever since the Leica M4 have used the Leica quick load system. And it's supposed to be quite easy to use. So before I got this camera, my Leica M4, I did a lot of research because that's just the way I am. I like to fully read up on anything that I'm going to be purchasing that's especially a big purchase like this. And I found on forums and YouTube videos either one of two opinions on the Leica M quick load system. It was A, either the simplest, easiest method to load film in any existing camera, and if you had any issue with it whatsoever, you are a fool. Or B, it's not very good, it's not very quick, it slips all the time, it's a big pain in the butt, and SLRs are way better than rangefinders, and why are you even using a rangefinder to begin with? Those are the two opinions that I found on the Leica M film camera quick load system. So, is the Leica M film camera quick load system easy? Is it? Well, let's take a closer look and see. All right, so here's the Leica M4. The Leica M4 was the first model to fully implement the quick load system. You see on the bottom of the camera, you have this little lever here. You operate that, you open up the bottom of the camera. Pay attention to this little wheel here. It projects out from the bottom there. Inside here, you have what is called the tulip. You can see it's kind of a three-pronged spool. And then on here, you will see there's a little diagram showing you exactly how you're supposed to load the film. You basically pull the film across, you slip it inside, and then it doesn't really explain anything more than that. It just shows that you're supposed to put the end of the film leader inside the tulip, and then ostensibly you would close up the bottom once again and start shooting. So I had read various accounts on forums, I'd seen videos where people say, all you have to do to load a Leica M camera. I've got a dummy roll of film here. So all you have to do is take the roll of film, open the back, pop it inside the tulip like so, pop the back back on. This little wheel right here will supposedly push the film leader down so it will catch the sprockets properly. Then you put the bottom on, close it up, and then supposedly, without fiddling with anything, you can just advance the film, and there you are. We are at shot number 1, and we're ready to go. And if you notice, the film rewind crank is turning. So by all accounts, that works. It works perfectly well, and it actually does. It is very simple, very quick, and very easy. So let's do this again. We're going to hit the rewind lever here. I'm going to open up the bottom because I don't want to rewind this dummy roll past the leader. I'm going to open up the back and we will rewind until the leader is just sticking out of the cartridge. Put that down, take the film out, there we go. So simple, right? Should be easy, there's no issue whatsoever. Yes, except when I first got this camera, that never happened. I read how you were supposed to load this camera, and I did it exactly the way they said you were supposed to do it. I put the leader in, I put it inside the tulip. I close the back. I put the bottom on like so. I closed it down, and 9 times out of 10, when I tried to advance the film, it would slip. It's not doing it now. I don't know why it was doing it then. I obviously was screwing something up, but it convinced me that this wouldn't work, that I couldn't just drop the film in and advance and go about my merry way. As you can see, I did just now. So I thought, okay, there's got to be something else going on. And so I started reading all these forums about people having issues loading the Leica M4, M6, any of the Leica M film cameras with the quick load system like this. And all sorts of people were saying all sorts of things. They were saying that you really have to make sure you get it on the sprockets. So let me show you again. When I take this out, inside the camera, you can see right here, there is the spool that has the sprockets on there. And people would say you really have to push the cartridge, the film cartridge and the leader as far up as you can to make sure that you engage it with those sprockets. And then once you've done that, before even closing the back of the camera, you should advance a couple times and make sure that you're on those sprockets, then close the back, maybe do 2 or 3 advances, and then put this on, and then you can go and you'll be fine. So I started doing that. Let me show you my method throughout much of the time I've had this camera. I would put it in like so. So it goes into the tulip like that. I would then push up as much as I could on either end to make sure that it was engaged with the sprockets. I would even shove my finger in there a little bit. Then I would close the back and advance. But often it would not catch when I did that. As you can see, it's not catching. Okay, that's a problem. Open up the back again. What's going on? Let me shove my finger in there. Let me shove the cartridge up a little bit more. Oops, now I've shoved it in too far. I was poking and prodding and trying to do all these things. Finally, I might get it on to the sprockets. Did it work? No, it's slipping. I turned it into this huge mess for myself, and I thought that I had to. I thought that was the only way I was going to be able to load this camera, when the simple truth is, you don't have to poke, you don't have to prod, you don't have to try to do anything weird. I'm going to try to take this out again and just show you. All you got to do is drop the film in. I might push the cartridge down a little bit. Close the back. Put on the bottom. Cinch it down. It has caught. And we are at shot number 1. Now actually, even though it shows shot number 1 here, if you go out through and shoot this entire roll of film just by dropping it in to the tulip spool, closing the bottom, and advancing until you get to 1, you will have 37 shots. If you don't advance all the way to 1, you could easily get 38 shots. You could almost get 39 shots. I don't like doing that because I like to have 36 shots because my negative carriers are 36 shots per sheet. I don't want to have extra shots. I know that might sound ridiculous, but just for my organization, that's what I like. But here you go. It works great. It works fine. It's fantastic. It actually does work. I don't know why it didn't when I first got this camera. I obviously was screwing something up. Another thing that would happen all the time is even if I got a good load, when I wasn't using this method, when I wasn't using the simplest method and making it more difficult for myself, I might get it on the spool and I might advance a few times, but then what would often happen is suddenly it would just loosen off the sprocket and off the spool, and then all the film would be pushed up against the inside of this opening here, and I could still advance, but it wouldn't be tightly wound to the spool. It would be pushed out, pushed up against this. and it made advancing the film more difficult. It made the whole just mechanism of the camera operate less well. And I went through so many shots or so many rolls like that. Sometimes I'd have a perfectly good load and it would be fine the entire time. Other times it would not. But ever since I just started doing exactly what Leica tells you to do, I mean, they don't tell you everything in this little diagram, but shoving it in, you don't have the leader extend out of the little tulip. I don't know if I can even show you that. You just have it inside the tulip. Close the back, close the bottom. Advance, and there you go. It is easy, but it's deceptively easy. You may think that they're lying to you. You may have one experience that throws you off like I did, or I actually had several experiences where it just didn't seem to be working. And so then I started looking for answers to questions that didn't need answers because the solution was there the entire time. It actually does work. Now, I will say that ever since I started just popping it in, putting it in the tulip, closing the bottom and advancing, pretty rarely I have had a roll that slipped a little bit, but it was at the very beginning and I never advanced more of the leader than I would have when I was just loading the film to begin with. So all I had to do was pop it open and just, reclose it and start it again, and it was fine. So it never was to the point where I was going to be losing frames or screwing things up. And if you want to, you could just kind of rewind a little bit and make sure that you don't have too much leader out, and then open up the bottom again and try again. But that's only happened once since I started doing the proper, quote, proper way of loading this camera. So there you go, gang. That is how you load a Leica M film camera with the quick load system. I'm sure there are a lot of videos out there that show this, but most of those videos just say, oh, here's how you do it, it's easy. And it wasn't easy for me because I wasn't finding that success right away. So I just want to show you, even if you were having issues with this, if you persist with loading it the proper way, it can work, it does work, it's now working for me, and all of the issues I was having in the past loading this camera have disappeared.